The red light is on, and it's go for 20 laps. Down to Copse. Kanoibula did not have a good start, and already they're well spread out. Giuseppe Ascaregi did not get going, and there is Kanoibula about a third of the way down the pack as they go round the first right-hander at Copse Corner. You can see the lowering rain clouds overhead, and I very much fear that the weather conditions are going to deteriorate even further before the end of this race. This is where there was a problem in the 250 race earlier on, but it's Cadalora in the lead. It is Luca Cadalora, the man who's already won in Germany, Austria, Holland and France this year, and a novice at Silverstone, and behind him is August Auinger, the Austrian rider whose highest place is third position so far this year. These bikes, by the way, as they stream down the Hanger Straight at getting on towards 140 miles an hour, even in the wet, develop 42 brake horsepower, and there's two men out in the front, and Auinger is well up, but Luca Cadalora is leading as they come down to Club Corner on lap 1, and it's Cadalora, number 22, leading, riding a Garelli, the World Championship machine of last year. Then on the Bartol, Auinger, and the rest of them go through. And not enviable conditions, Barry Sheen.
No, it's not. On a 125, it's not a very nice thing at all, because they're so light that it doesn't cut through the rain very good. And there's somebody down.
Yeah,
coming out of the club by the looks of it. Oh, it's Kanoibula. Oh, I feel sorry for Kanoibula, because I was watching the start out of the window and he blew it himself. He didn't get off the bike, he pedalled it away and his feet slipped on the white line, so that's why he was having to try so hard.
Bruno Kanoibula, pole position, is out of the 125cc British Grand Prix almost before it started, and on lap 2 now it's Auinger going for the lead on the inside at Copse and taking it. August Auinger, third in the World Championship last year, ahead of the man who has won 4 World Championship races this year and who leads the World Championship as a result of it, Luca Cadalora. And those two looking as though they're going to make this 125cc a race all on their own.
Well, I should think so. Auinger, to my knowledge, has been racing for about 14 years. And I saw him racing a couple of years ago in Austria in very, very bad rainy conditions, and he was outstanding. So I'm backing Auinger in this one.
Less power, Barry, these 125cc machines, but narrower tyres, which must presumably help in these conditions.
Well, yeah, it does, because with a narrow tyre it cuts through the water good, but you have less power and you don't have the problem of getting a big handful and getting the back wheel braking loose. But alternatively, you have to get every ounce of power onto the road to make it work, sort of things. They're not the... I finished second in the World Championship in '71 on one of these, and they are not easy to ride. They're just as difficult as a 500.
Over 40 brake horsepower, and that's a lot of power. There in third place, Johnny Wickstrom, the Swedish rider, the Finnish rider, I'm sorry, and he's on a Tunri, which is yet another of the many makes of machine in this race. And in fourth position behind Wickstrom, it's Lucio Petrionerio, that's a Belgian on the MBA, a popular machine, and they're going down all over Silverstone, very slippery.
Yeah, it's, as I say, with the little light bikes, it takes 4 or 5 laps for the tyre temperature to get up, because you have the wet tyres, which are like little blocks of rubber, and because there's no weight from the bikes, you have to push the bikes into a corner to heat the tyres up. So it's the first 4 or 5 laps of the 125 race is dodgy in the rain.
And that was the very inappropriately named Willie Luck who went off on the corner there. And Auinger is leading on this, the third lap in this 20-lap race, as the midfield men go through. The Austrian well away. Barry says he has a considerable amount of experience, and it's showing. Now, I would imagine, Barry, that if Luca Cadalora, who has got very little experience, certainly of these conditions, but who has got a comfortable lead in the World Championship, plays his cards right, he will ride steadily and be content with second place.
Well, we'd hope so, but you never know, you know, especially with sort of Latin-blooded riders. That's the sensible thing to do, but once he gets used to the conditions, knowing the Italians the way I do, I would imagine he'll try and stay in touch with Auinger. You see, for Auinger, if he gets a really good lead, the trouble is on a 125, they're pretty slow down the straight, and you have so much time to think going down the straights that a 20-lap race seems like a 200-mile marathon.
Well, there are the first three. That was Auinger. There is Cadalora. There is Johnny Wickstrom. There in fourth position. Or has he been lapped? No, he's fourth. It's Jussi Hotonimi, and yet another Finnish rider. There's several of them in this 125 race. There's Wickstrom. Well, you see the way they're disappearing. That's Esa Kitola, yet another Finnish rider.
Oh, no.
And there's a big one. And number 7 who went out there was Jean-Claude Cellini, who was actually going extremely well in practice at one point. And that's his race over. And it's quite obvious that the conditions are a lot worse on the 125s than they were for the 250s earlier on. Or is it lack of experience?
Well, no, I don't think it's lack of experience, Murray. As I say, you need a good 5 laps into a 125 race in the rain to heat the tyres up. That's why you'll find a guy like Auinger. I would be very surprised to see him fall down at the beginning of a race, because having experience, he knows all these kind of things, and I suppose people learn by their own mistakes, don't they?
And Auinger in the lead is now on his 4th lap in this 20-lap race, as we look at Johnny Wickstrom in 3rd position, and Cadalora there. Now there's Auinger. He's not Jim Beam, incidentally. It's August Auinger, number 3, riding the Bartol, another very famous name from two-stroke racing history, now producing the engines that power these machines.
Probably runs it on Jim Beam, Murray.
There's Cellini. Jean-Claude Cellini has, having abandoned ship, climbed aboard again, got it going, and is courageously back in the race. But, of course, well down. 22, Cadalora. Now, Wickstrom, number 11, is actually catching the young Italian, Luca Cadalora, on the Garelli. This is the race.
Yeah, Wickstrom, for example, the Finns in conditions like this, usually in the winter, the Finns that do road racing race on the ice. You can remember Jarno Saarinen, they're very, very good in conditions like this, because if the bike breaks away, they're used to having bikes break away, and generally speaking, in these conditions, they're pretty unbeatable.
Just as they tend to be in rally driving, for much the same reason. Well, there is the Finn, Johnny Wickstrom. This is the interest in the race, because Auinger appears to have it under control at the front now. He's going round Cops Corner as Cadalora comes towards us, chased by Wickstrom. Hotonimi, yet the other Finn, there he is. There's Jussi Hotonimi, number 8. And he's in 4th position. So Finns 3rd and 4th, an Italian in 2nd place, an Austrian, and there he is leading.
They're very difficult little bikes to ride in the rain, because you have absolutely no weight at all. Well, very little weight, and it's difficult to feel them. By the time you feel the front wheels sliding or the back sliding, it's usually too late.
Yes, 42 brake horsepower in a bike which weighs about 75 kilograms is a very considerable power to weight ratio. Now you can see there's the leader. You can see the long gap in terms of distance and therefore time. But 2nd, 3rd and 4th are closing up. 22 is 2nd, and it is Cadalora. 11 is in 3rd place, and that's Johnny Wickstrom. And 8 is in 4th place, and that's Jussi Hotonimi. And there he is. So, and off goes somebody else at club. Oh, dear me. But another bloke who's okay. And that 21, the man who's gone down, is Paolo Casoli from Italy. He's certainly not used to this sort of going. And you can see the gravel traps which have been put in at Silverstone now to replace the poles and wire netting that are used for the car races. And it obviously does the job of slowing the machine up. Well, there's Wickstrom speeding up, quite the reverse. And behind him, Hotonimi. So we're getting a real battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. What about visibility, Barry?
Well, visibility for these 3 guys you see here. The guy in the front is obviously having no problem, but the other 2 guys behind, visibility is a real problem, especially with the 125, because majority of the bikes have the radiators up in the front of the fairing, and with the heat coming off the radiator and the cold ambient temperature, it tends to smoke the visors up.
And we are on lap 6 out of 20. This really is a battle for second, third and fourth now. They're all going for it.
You see what Wickstrom's doing there, coming out really wide. That's not a sensible thing to do, because what you do is come up against surface water that hasn't been broken up by anybody. And a little light bike like this.
Now there is something of real interest. That is Fausto Grissini, who is the reigning world champion in the 125cc class, who is second in the 86 World Championship to Cadalora, who is leading the race. And Grissini is obviously giving it best off the bike, out of the race, and that increases Cadalora's World Championship chances, particularly if he stays where he is. Never mind if he improves his position.
Well, whatever went wrong, it looks pretty terminal, unless the thing had got water in it and was misfiring and popping and banging, in which case Grissini would know that there was nothing they could do about it.
I thought for a moment, Barry, the way he dashed into the garage, that he was going to get another bike out.
No, I don't think so. Mind you, he's Italian, you never know.
Well, there's Auinger, anyway. Now coming up to complete his 6th lap as he comes under the bridge, and the lead that the Austrian has got now is massive. This is what really matters in the race in terms of interest, watching it on the ground, because and Wickstrom is up into second place. He's now 12 seconds behind Auinger, and I mean no disrespect to the Austrian when I say this is the interest, because he's riding a super race. But now Auinger has displaced 22, Cadalora, the Italian World Championship leader, down to 3rd position. Hotonimi just behind the Italian in 4th place, just out of the picture to the left. There he is. Round the left-hander at Maggots, together into the right-hander at Beckett's. This is the slowest corner on the course, which leads into Chapel Curve, which leads into the Hanger Straight. So Auinger is riding a Bartol. In second position now, Wickstrom is on a Tunri. There he is in 3rd position. Cadalora is on a Garelli, and in 4th place at the moment, and going for 3rd, is Hotonimi on an MBA. 4 different makes of machine, and these 125cc bikes have been developed over the years. There is the leader, Auinger. In your day, Barry, when you rode the 125 Suzuki, what sort of power would that have been producing?
Oh, that would have only produced probably 32, 33 horsepower. I used to lap around Silverstone in about 1 minute 50 or something, so it just shows you how slow.
Yes, well, there's another 12 horsepower on top of that these days, and there's Auinger showing how quickly they go. And he will now, of course, be in his race rhythm. He will be taking the right line. He's got some time to go before he catches and laps anybody, I think. So he's really just got to keep it going.
Yeah, the trouble is for Auinger now, I would say he'd probably end up suffering from terminal boredom, because when you've got nobody to race with, you've got nothing to think about. Every little thing that feels like a misfire on the bike, and you're looking for every puddle. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, be miles out in front with no one to worry about.
Well, Auinger is increasing his lead. It's 13 seconds now over Johnny Wickstrom, number 11. The highest he's finished in a race, in a World Championship race this year, was in Spain, where he took 5th place. So it's a considerable improvement. And now Hotonimi is harrying the young Italian World Championship leader, Luca Cadalora, for 3rd position.
It looks like Cadalora's got the quickest bike of those 3. But I would say Hotonimi is definitely the trier of the troop. And I think we get to see some excitement from him.
Well, as they come towards us, there is Wickstrom, and now 13 seconds ahead of him. Barry, I've had people umpteen times ask me why the riders put their knees out and practically get. There you are. You see Wickstrom.
I think well, speaking from my own point of view, I just used to let my legs flop out on a corner because it was more comfortable. Oh dear, a little bit on the wide side there. It was just a more comfortable way to ride, Murray, and if you're going into a right-hand corner, you stick your right-hand knee out, it sort of slows you down a bit and pulls you into the corner.
Yes, it looks very dramatic on the picture, sort of orchestrated riding as the knees pop out of the fairing and then back again.
It's quite a handy thing because a couple of times when I was racing, I lost the front end of a bike going into a corner and the bike just fell on my knee and sort of bounced upright again. I think more by luck than judgment, but maybe I should have had training wheels.
That's why you were hobbling about so much. So there was August Auinger. Here is the battle now for second, third and fourth, and it's closed up again because Wickstrom is going through now to complete his 8th lap. Still 12 laps to go, and if any of these three put a foot wrong, and don't forget, we thought in the 250 race earlier today that Alan Carter was set for a certain second place to Dominique Sarron, only to lose it on the last lap. But somehow these three, there is the leader, Auinger, seem to be riding more steadily to me.
I would say undoubtedly Auinger. I have total confidence in the guy, and he has a lot of experience. He realises how much lead he's got, and even if he was down in 3rd place, I think the experience counts. You know, he's going to use his head because it's points that count at the end of the day.
And there's Auinger. Now he is closing up and on taking the tail enders. But look at the width of Silverstone. You see, there is plenty of room to get past somebody.
Yeah, the trouble is on a bike, if you run, that's the hanger straight, if you ran down the right-hand side of it, you get so much surface water there because no one's been down there. And it's not a very good thing. At the beginning of a race, it's a good plan if you're brave enough to run down the right-hand side of the road because it sticks so much spray up that people try and get out of the way of it.
Gamesmanship. So, Wickstrom second, Auinger well ahead, Cadalora on his way to some 10 World Championship points. Here's the man who's on 15. In motorcycle racing, the World Championship point situation is different to that of Formula One car racing, where it's 9-1 for the first 6 places. In motorcycle racing, it is 15-1 for the first 10 places. And so August Auinger, number 3 on the Bartol, is not actually very much in the World Championship position points at the moment.
Well, no, obviously he hasn't had too good a season, but I was just thinking now, Auinger's catching up the back markers, and he's probably really pleased about it because you can see a guy at the end of the straight, and it gives you something to think about. So it's nice for him because it just keeps him not necessarily interested, but it keeps you so your mind doesn't wander, because when you have nothing to think about, it's very difficult to concentrate.
And if Auinger finishes in the lead at the end of this race, and he's on the half-distance lap now, he will surge up from 9th in the World Championship to 5th, which is no mean achievement. Johnny Wickstrom second, seemingly number 11, pulling away now from Luca Cadalora, the Italian on the Garelli. But I don't suppose Cadalora, well, maybe with the fire of youth he will be worried, but he ought to be quite relaxed. He's on his way to 10 World Championship points. He was 2 points ahead of Grassini when this race started. Fausto Grassini has retired from it, so Cadalora will be in a very strong position in the World Championship, even if he finishes 3rd. Second, Wickstrom. 3rd, 22, Cadalora. 4th, number 8, is Hotonimi. 5th is number 6, Domenico Brigaglia from Italy on the Ducados, and he is one of the 3 men, that's number 6, that have won a 125cc Grand Prix this year, the other 2 being Fausto Grassini, who is out of the race, and Luca Cadalora, who is in 3rd position. So there is Brigaglia, number 6, in 5th position. The gap between him and in 4th position, Hotonimi. There he is, there's Hotonimi, and the gap is not very much. So Brigaglia is the man of the race at the moment, and since Wickstrom there and Cadalora are not all that much ahead of Hotonimi, Brigaglia could actually surge up in the closing stages of the race.
Well, yeah, with any kind of luck. I don't really know too much about the 125 riders, but if he's just crawling up gently, then he's using his head, he's feeling his way round. And it is a pretty long race, 20 laps for 125 cc's. Oh, another one down.
Well, another one bites not the dust, but the mud. And number 55 there, the man who's dropped it, is Ivan Pineda, the Venezuelan. Taking his time from Carlos Lovato, but not finishing. Oh, hello. Bags of... and if you're wondering what on earth he's done to his face, the answer is he's taped it up to stop the moisture in his breath from his nose and his mouth getting on the inside of the visor, but it doesn't seem to have done him much good. So, there is August Auinger on lap 11, carving his way through the midfield men now, never mind the tail enders. I find it difficult, Barry, to believe that you can get bored in a race, certainly when you're leading, but I suppose if you can, then Auinger will be feeling that way at the moment.
Well, probably it's the wrong word to use, bored, but you need something to keep you sort of occupied the whole time. And when you get on a 500 bike, for example, and you've got a 10-second lead, that's okay because the things are going so quick. You have to really hang on to them. But a 125 is pretty slow down the straight, and it gives you all the time in the world to say, well, I wish I had somebody to race with. I wish you look at the lap board, it says 9 laps to go, and you come around what seems like 10 laps time, and it still only says 7 to go, so it's a bit of a struggle.
Well, with the leader 15 seconds ahead, the man to watch is definitely Brigaglia, number 6, because he is up to 4th position now. Number 6, Domenico Brigaglia, is up to 4th position because, as I thought he would, he has caught and passed Jussi Hotonemi, who was in that 4th position, and there he is. Domenico Brigaglia, the winner in Belgium, 2nd in Spain, 4th in Holland, 2 5th places, 3rd equal in the World Championship, is now on 8 World Championship points and going for Cadalora, number 22, who is in 3rd position. Domenico Brigaglia then has come right up through the field to get well up into the points. Now he's got his sights on Luca Cadalora, the World Championship leader, and he's going to take him and 3rd place before he's very much older.
More than likely he would have had a signal from his pits to say how far Auinger's in front, and if I was him, I'd just sort of sit back and relax a little bit now, because he's obviously worked extremely hard to get up to where he is, and he doesn't have a lot of chance of catching Auinger. Oh, another one down.
Well, number 17 there is Thierry Furs, the Swiss rider, off his MBA. But I reckon that Brigaglia, the Belgian Grand Prix winner, is on target for 2nd position because he was only a couple of seconds behind number 11, Johnny Wickstrom, when I last looked. And there he is with Cadalora. Number 6 is the man to watch. Cadalora in... number 22 in 3rd position, and the gap between Wickstrom, who is 2nd, and Brigaglia is 2.42 seconds. There is 11, Wickstrom 2nd, 22, Cadalora 3rd, number 6, Brigaglia is in 4th position. Now, what can you fairly do to keep the other bloke behind you under these circumstances, Barry?
Not a lot, really. That's the nice thing about motorcycle racing. It's unlike cars where people can sort of go from side to side of the road and you've got no chance of getting past. With bike racing, it's very difficult for someone to hold you up, and if they do try and hold you up, they usually muck themselves up and you can tuck past somewhere. And
through goes Brigaglia. He's come right up from well down the field into 3rd position now. He's got ahead of number 22, Cadalora, the Italian World Championship leader. Now he's got his sights set on Johnny Wickstrom, number 11, less than 2 seconds ahead of him. And I'm starting to luxuriate in the thought that he might even be able to catch August Auinger. I haven't taken the gap between them recently, but it'll be something like 13 seconds. And what we need to do, and what I promise I will do, is to see if the gap is narrowing on the stopwatch. So watch number 6. There he goes. Number 11 is the man he's after, and that's 2nd place man Johnny Wickstrom from Finland. There's the Austrian Auinger, number 3, leading. Second at the moment, Wickstrom from Finland. Third, Brigaglia, number 6. There he is. Now, the leader has just completed his 13th lap. Wickstrom comes out of Woodcote. And the gap between the leader, Auinger, and Brigaglia in third position is 15.15 seconds.
I can't see Brigaglia doing it, because that means he's got to knock over 2 seconds a lap off of Auinger, and I see no way. Actually.
Yes, I totally agree, in fact. Auinger, and anyway, for all we know, Auinger is, I suspect, riding within himself, and if he got a signal, he could speed up. Oh,
I'm sure Auinger's on autopilot now, and he's just sort of really cruising along, counting down the laps. I'm sure if he got the signal to go, he could turn the wick up.
There he is, August Auinger, 29 years old, the Austrian, third in the World Championship last year, sixth in the World Championship as long ago as 1982, and he's yet to score a win this year. And as you see, up into second place, Domenico Brigaglia on the Ducados has displaced Johnny Wickstrom, but Luca Cadalora is similarly number 22, closing up on Wickstrom, who was second and is now third. They're the second, third and fourth together. Number 6 is second, Brigaglia. Number 11, Wickstrom, has just been displaced and is third, but hanging on. And number 22, Cadalora, the World Championship leader, fourth. There he goes. And they're coming through to complete lap 14 now. And in particular, August Auinger, I said, the gap was 15 seconds last lap. And as you look at the second, third and fourth coming up to complete the lap, Auinger has just done so. His Bartol engine sounding crisp and clean. There go the second, third and fourth. Now the gap was 15 seconds, and the gap between Auinger, the leader, and the new second place man Brigaglia is 13.5 seconds. So Brigaglia is going quicker, but I'm sure that's because Auinger is just riding a cautious race rather than because Brigaglia is cramming on all that much steam.
I think what you'll probably find is Auinger will lose probably 3 or 4 seconds in the next lap or a couple of laps, and then he'll get the signal from the pits. You see, probably up until now he hasn't had a signal from the pits to say that Brigaglia is catching him up. They will have got their act straight now, one hopes, and give him a signal next time, in which case I think you'll see him turn the wick up.
Wickstrom has gone up into third position. He's displaced Cadalora, who has gone down. Well, no, Wickstrom's retained, I apologise, his third position. And I think Cadalora is either getting a bit dispirited by the weather conditions, it's not like this in Italy very often, or he's just decided to settle for the points. But no, as I say that, he's in third position now ahead of Wickstrom, so he certainly hasn't decided to give it best. Coming towards us, number 6, Brigaglia, second. 27 there is well down, Michael McGarrity, the Northern Ireland rider. Cadalora there in the blue and white leathers and the blue and white helmet in third position, ahead of Wickstrom. Round the left-hander, the tremendously fast left-hander at Abbey Curve, goes to Gorelli. Twin-cylinder, 6-speed. And they rev at about 15,000 RPM, and you really won't need me to tell you about the weather conditions. You can see for yourself. Now, we'll have a look at the gap, because there was Auinger. Here is Brigaglia wiping the rain off his visor with the back of his gloves. And yes, as Barry forecast, the gap is coming down. It's about 10 seconds now, but there are still 5 laps to go, including the one that they are on. Race leader, Auinger. I wonder, Barry, I wonder.
It all depends if Auinger's got his signal from the pits. We'll have to see if we can get a shot of Auinger going coming out of a corner and going into the straight. We'll see whether he's trying or not. And if he's not trying, then he obviously hasn't got a signal. Looks like he's having a go again now.
Lap 16, the man you're looking at, August Auinger, leads the 125cc British Grand Prix from Domenico Brigaglia on the Ducados. In third position is Luca Cadalora on the Garelli. In fourth place is Johnny Wickstrom on the Tunri. In fifth position is Luca Pietronero on the NBA. And behind him is Jussi Hotonemi, who's dropped back from fourth to sixth position. And the interest in the race at the present moment is this man, Will Brigaglia, who's fought his way up to second place and is now going for victory, be able to catch number 3, August Auinger, in the 4 laps that remain after they complete this one. There is the leader, driving his way through a ball of spray. Round Woodcote, and the gap was 15 seconds, and as Auinger goes down to Copse, the gap is 9.6 seconds.
I think the real telltale, Murray, is going to be this next lap. If it's down to sort of 7 seconds, then I eat my words.
Well, either way, it's going to be a very interesting situation. Domenico Brigaglia, the winner in Belgium, 2 fifth places, the second in Spain, third equal in the World Championship, and there, number 3, Auinger, is only 9th in the World Championship, so this is by far his best performance. There, coming down to Beckett's, and he's definitely closing up. Domenico Brigaglia, the Italian, has now got the scent of victory in his nostrils, diluted a bit by all the rain, I've no doubt, but strong enough to egg him on. And he's on lap 17, 20-lap race, the leader. Number 3, Auinger, look down the straight, and even allowing for the fact that he looks closer on television than he is in fact, Domenico Brigaglia is closing.
Maybe what's happened, Auinger's had his signal from the pits, and he's just got into such a rut, slowing down, that he's having trouble speeding up again. I must admit, that's what it looks like.
I would imagine, Barry, that if you've lost concentration and your race rhythm, it's difficult to get it back again.
Well, what happens, you just sort of say you're lapping, for example, at 1 minute 50, and then you get 10 seconds lead, you knock it down to 1 minute 52. It's a big struggle then to sort of wind yourself up again to go quick.
Right, well, here's a man who's already wound himself up as tight as he possibly can. There's Cadalora in third place. So the positions there are static enough. Wickstrom is still in fourth position. In fifth place, it's still Pietronero. In sixth place, it's still Hotonemi. There goes the leader into his 18th lap. And as Brigaglia goes underneath the bridge, the gap it's still 9 seconds, in fact. So that was the critical lap. Eric.
Well, yeah, I would imagine so. But you can, they're right in the race. You can never tell exactly. But I would think that Auinger still has a little bit more in hand. And even if Brigaglia catches up a little more, it'll probably be better for Auinger, because then he'll sort of get him wound up again. But you see, Brigaglia is trying very hard. He's going very wide there.
8.7 seconds at Beckett's is the gap. So he's not really closing up very much on this section of the course. Maybe on the quicker section that he's approaching now, the Ducados of Brigaglia is faster than the Bartol of Auinger. We'll know at the end of the lap. There's the hanger straight. They're disappearing out of your picture as Auinger the leader. Here is Domenico Brigaglia on the Ducados. Austrian leading, Italian second. It's still Cadalora, the Italian, on the Garelli, the World Championship leader, in third place ahead of Johnny Wickstrom from Finland in fourth place. And then Pietronero, the Italian, and Hotonemi, the Finn, fifth and sixth. This is...
It can ruin you. I know how Auinger feels. It can ruin your whole day when you see your pit bull, because you go past, you say a +5, and then you try really hard. I think I'll pull out some ground, then you go past it, it says +4, and you think, oh boy.
9 seconds was the gap. And Auinger, the race leader, is coming up to complete his 18th lap. and to start his 19th and penultimate lap. And this really is going to be critical. He's completed his 18th lap. He's got 2 laps to go, which is just under 6 miles. And the gap between himself and Brigaglia is 10 seconds. So Auinger has got the message. And the message is give it the gun a bit, August.
You see, what he can afford to do is give it the gun for a lap and a half and then go back into autopilot again, because he's only got a lap then to lose. You can lose 5 seconds in the last lap.
And Brigaglia adjusts his position on the bike. Here is the race leader.
That's the thing on a little bike like this in the rain, you're pretty cramped up, and it gets really, really uncomfortable. Your knees sort of seize up and your hips seize up, so I can imagine he's feeling a bit achy and painy.
The riders see that laps to go board as they clear Woodcote and go over the start and finish line. And they may not understand what the English word laps to go mean, but they certainly know what the figures do, and I'm quite sure Auinger and Brigaglia, there he is in second place, will be delighted to see those numbers going down. And soon it's going to be 1 lap to go, 2.93 miles to go, and at the present moment it looks as though August Auinger, there he is going to get those 15 maximum points for victory in the 125cc British Grand Prix over Brigaglia. Cadalora 22 second, and making no impression on Brigaglia any more than Johnny Wickstrom, number 11 in 4th place, is making any impression on Cadalora. So with no disrespect to the riders, because I would rather they were where they are than myself, it is settled into a race pattern which doesn't look as though it's going to be changed.
There's still an awful lot of surface water out there, Murray, so it's I must admit the conditions are not what you could say nice to ride in, without any doubt.
And the leader is on his last lap. Here's Brigaglia starting his last lap. The gap is down to 9.31 seconds, but it's neither here nor there, because August Auinger has maintained his race-winning potential immaculately at around about a 10-second gap over the man you're looking at now, Domenico Brigaglia.
This will be the worst lap for Auinger, because he's got a really, really big lead, and he's riding around thinking, well, I can afford to lose 3 or 4 seconds this lap, and I mustn't lose concentration, I mustn't make a mistake. It's a horrible thing. You know, you're better off fighting with somebody right into the last corner, because at least it keeps you 100% occupied.
Well, Mr. Willie Luck, who abandoned ship earlier on, has climbed aboard again. There he is, number 45. Let's hope he doesn't throw it away in front of Auinger on the last lap. That would be tragic for the Austrian. Number 3, race leader, only about half a lap to go now. Into Stowe. He's left the second fastest part of the course now, because he speeds up for Club, from Club up to Abbey, from Abbey, which he's approaching now, towards Woodcote, which is the fastest part of the race, and then completion.
It's a very difficult decision now for Auinger. He's up behind a couple of back markers, and he thinks, well, should I take the chance to pass them? They may fall off, they may pull over on me, they may do this. On the other hand, the guy might be catching me behind. I mean, there's so much going through the guy's mind.
Round Abbey, he's only got the run up to Woodcote now on this, the 20th and last lap to win. And these days we don't think of Auinger as a winner, we think of him well up. But it's going to be victory in the British Grand Prix. He is into Woodcote, and I expect his right hand to come off the bars, and a victory punch. No, it's his left hand, just to prove me wrong. Ernst Auinger, he's delighted, and he jolly well should be, because that was a superb win by about 7.5 seconds. So he eased up a bit in the last lap.
Yeah, he did the right thing. As I said at the beginning, you know, Auinger's got a lot of experience, and it's a very important thing, experience, because you see so many young guys that have it all in the palm of their hand and then go and throw it away just through trying too hard.
So, victory in the 125cc British Grand Prix on a rain-drenched Silverstone circuit for number 3, August Auinger, the Austrian.